The US, the Republican convention is halfway through its coronation of Donald Trump as the candidate in the November election. And day two starred his wife, Melania. Long speech, heartfelt, and to the point, as yet more race riots tore through yet another American city, Kenosha, this time after another police shooting of a black man.
Like all of you, I have reflected on the racial unrest in our country. It is a harsh reality that we are not proud of parts of our history. I encourage people to focus on our future while still learning from our past. We must remember that today we are all one community comprised of many races, religions, and ethnicities. Our diverse and storied history is what makes our country strong, and yet we still have so much to learn from one another. With that in mind, I like to call on the citizens of this country to take a moment, pause, and look at things from all perspectives. I urge people to come together in a civil manner so we can work and live up to our standard American ideals. I also ask people to stop the violence and looting being done in the name of justice, and never make assumptions based on the color of a person's skin. Instead of tearing things down, let's reflect on our mistakes, be proud of our evolution, and look to our way forward.
Joining me is Rita Panahi, Sky News presenter, Herald Sun columnist, and Daniel Wild, Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs. Rita, Melania Trump's speech, doesn't that say exactly what America needs? More civility in discussing difference. Stop obsessing about race.
It's astonishing that you have Melania, the First Lady, calling on these protesters, rioters, to stop the violence. You would have thought Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi would be the ones who would call on their side, because these are their voters. These aren't Trump fanatics. Let's be honest about the ideology of these protests we have seen for weeks, indeed in Portland for months. And yet the Democratic leadership refuses to do that. They continuously whitewash the violence and present these lawless thugs as social justice activists fighting for equality, even though there is just so much footage of grievous acts of violence, arson, looting, just mindless violence. And overnight, it really has been shocking, some of the scenes. And it's all a repeat of Minneapolis and Portland and Chicago. And it's, I think, going to help Donald Trump enormously coming up to the election.
Well, I think that's probably right, Daniel.
That's absolutely right, Andrew. And I think what it goes to show is that the Democrats have become completely subsumed by the identity politics ideology. That's the reason why they can't call out these protesters, why they can't condemn the protests or Black Lives Matter, as Rita points out, because they are the party of identity politics, of so-called structural racism. And their strategy is to put Joe Biden at the front of this race, because they think that by putting Joe Biden at the front as their candidate for president, that he'll be able to, remind Americans that the Democrats weren't always this way, that he might be able to bring some people back over to the Democrats in the key swing states as, a party of the pro-worker, pro-America. But those days are very long gone, Andrew. And I think that these continual displays of violence on American streets, the failure of the Democrats to call it out, will continue to play in Trump's favour. The challenge that Trump will have is, what is his message going to be going into November? We saw at his speech earlier in the week, Andrew, he had a combination of what I would call MAGA, Make America Great Again, which was really him saying, I did it once at the start. I got the economy booming. I brought the jobs back. The pandemic hit, but I'm going to do it all again. So that was a very sort of positive sort of note that he hit. But then he's also in these culture wars with the Democrats, exemplified by his fantastic speech at Mount Rushmore, which was a stirring defence of American history and values. So marrying those two messages together will be the main challenge that Trump has to try and overcome as a move towards November.
Yeah, his speech at Mount Rushmore was indeed very good, but if the mainstream media refuses to give it any real airplay and cover it fairly, then he may well as not give it at all. This is a problem right now. But all right, so the Melania Trump pleas for more civility. How can you be against that? Was the reaction civil, Rita?
Well, no, not from the left. And some of the absolutely bigoted, blatantly racist commentary and sexist that was targeted towards her was really disgusting. And I'm not just talking about nameless, faceless, anonymous accounts online. I'm talking about people who've got quite high profiles, people like Bette Midler, who, said that she still can't speak English. And then she posted something else about, again, fairly bigoted commentary. I don't know if you've got the tweets there.
Oh, God, she still can't speak English, and then more of the same later. And Kathy Giffen said something so vile that I'm not even going to try to paraphrase what she said.
There was a lot there, and as we know, Melania does have an accent, but, I mean, this shouldn't be needed to be said, but if you've got an accent, it doesn't mean you understand things any less than someone who's born and bred in America, and she does speak fluently 5 languages, which I'm pretty sure is 4 more than Bette Midler. So for these people to be attacking her based on her accent, based on her outfit, it is so disgusting. And if she was a Democrat First Lady, a migrant to this country who spoke 5 languages, she would be absolutely celebrated as their new queen. But because her husband's a Republican...
I thought the left were really disgusted about people being abusive to women who are immigrants and with an accent. I would have thought that's exactly the sort of person that goes and gives succor to. Instead, they're piling on her like she's a sort of, a traitor, I don't know. The Republicans, Daniel, went all out to fight the new racism of the left. I thought Daniel Cameron, the Kentucky Attorney General, was very powerful in attacking the Democrat candidate Joe Biden for saying, if you don't vote for the left, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. Here he is.
I think often about my ancestors who struggled for freedom. And as I think of those giants and their broad shoulders, I also think about Joe Biden, who says, if you aren't voting for me, you ain't black, who argued that Republicans would put us back in chains, who says there is no diversity of thought in the black community. Mr. Vice President, look at me. I am black. We are not all the same, sir. I am not in chains. My mind is my own. And you can't tell me how to vote because of the color of my skin.
Daniel, that's really messing with the left's mind right there.
What a powerful defence of individual dignity, Andrew. And it gets back to this broader point of what Trump is about. It's about what you call civic nationalism. So everybody can rise up, equality before the law, American values for everyone, start a business, work hard, get ahead. It doesn't matter what the colour of your skin is, you can have a great life. And what a powerful, convincing statement of that.
Daniel Wild, Rita Panahi, thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.